Pulse 95. Between local lines. Notes from the Emirate.
A pretty cool development in Sharjah, taking recycling up a notch. And out of discarded car parts and various recyclables, Sharjah municipality made a park. They opened it up.
They have, and when we talk about scrapyard, you'd understand and think, oh, well, who wants to go to scrapyard? But we've actually used the materials from discarded or from cars, like discarded car parts and other recyclables to create a nice little park. Hamid Al-Banna, the Director of Transportation Department at the Sharjah municipality, said there are wooden benches, a fountain and a small man-made pond, and is home to some ornamental fish. And what's amazing is they've used a fountain using an exhaust of a car. The transmission and the lighting is using the car transmission parts and vehicle exhausts to form a fountain in the middle of the park, which is all good. They've also used a number of recyclables to form the flag of the UAE.
It's really cool. I mean, looking at the pictures, it's really interesting how creatively they use the various car parts as well. They put together these tires, painted them in bright colors and turned them into planters. They had fuel tanks repurposed into a filter for their artificial pond. And everywhere you look, you see an object that had a different purpose before being turned into a beautiful object as part of this interesting attraction as well. So it's really, really cool. Even the park's lighting is made up of car transmission parts. So it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. The Sharjah municipality has got one of those buses as well, the VIP buses that they've used, an old bus to refurbish it to becoming a VIP mobile. And they've also got, now what they've done is they've used the auto parts of its own fleet that could not be used anymore. So instead of getting rid of them, they decided to do this eco-friendly project and have this made. Now, the best thing that I find is its location. Now, where would you imagine the location of this park to be? Would it be a popular destination, at least a popular destination? Where would you think?
I would think because of the type of materials they used, probably somewhere that is not as popular, a place that people wouldn't even imagine a park like this to open.
Exactly. It is on the industrial area number 3.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and it is. I'm very, very happy to hear this news. The reason is it's right behind the Sharjah municipality's environmental department's block. So it is on the industrial area 3. Maliha Road is the best way to access it. So it is by the famous JNP signal. So all Sharjahwis and Sharjahwiyas of industrial area would know, and I would be aware of what the JNP signal is. And it is, I'm glad, because it is only 10 minutes away from where my significant other works. So whenever we go for lunch breaks, we always end up in Al Jadda or Mawela area. Now we have this park to go to. I'm not sure how she will respond to this, but I'm pretty sure it will be a very, very popular park. So do check it out over the weekend. It looks very interesting. They've used the old tires to make some kind of features as well, wooden benches, somewhere a nice, relaxing atmosphere. And it looks like they've used AstroTurf as well, as opposed to real grass. That should be easier to maintain it and not be too affecting the environment, which is good.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the environment here is a big part of this. When you repurpose these objects into energy efficient and sustainable objects to put in a park, I mean, that's really cool and might signal more developments like this in the future. All these repurposing of various junkyards and scrap heaps and maybe the most places that people wouldn't associate with sustainable destinations to something entirely beautiful. So it's really cool. And if you visit it, please do share photos with me because I'd love to see more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's so much to look forward to. This park, it is an ideal spot for meetings. It's a mini park, and they're saying it's just a great place to go for a meeting. Well,
There we go.
ideal. Why not? Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We shall be right back after a bit of a short break. We'll keep you posted on the Morning Majlis. If you are planning on going down there, text us on 4215 and we'll be right back. We did ask you this question earlier, though, so let's repeat this question. A couple of people have been coming back with the responses. We asked you this question: who was Barack Obama's first presidential opponent during his 2008 general elections? A couple of people coming back with the correct answer. Sashi texted us saying Al Gore.
Oh, no.
That might have been George W. Bush, maybe. Maybe. Well, who was Barack Obama's first presidential candidate? When I asked this question to our captain, Sama Matar, she was like, man, I was in grade 6. That was the answer that she gave us.
Oh, no. She doesn't know?
Yeah, she does know. Yes, she is
Okay.
aware. But she's like, well, I was in grade 6. So
Yeah.
you can't expect me to be full on aware of what happened during those debates, because I don't even know what happened during those debates. They were very civil. But yes, stay with us during the Morning on the Morning Majlis. We'll be right back after some musical entertainment here on Pulse 95. And up next, we'll focus a little bit more on the world of local businesses, let's say. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Pulse 95. Between local lines. Notes from the Emirate. Pulse 95.
Notes from the Emirate, indeed. We're talking about our very own Michael Atia's local neighborhood. Arada has now begun to hand over residences of phases 4 and 5 of Nazma residences, consisting of 302 villas and townhouses. Phase 4 of Nazma residences started in June 2019. Work on Phase 5, which features 174 townhouses, also began in June last year. And His Excellency Sheikh Sultan bin Ahmed Al Qasimi, chairman of Arada and chairman of Sharjah Media Council, also shared his comments on the handover.
Yes, indeed. He said, since handing over our first homes at Nesma Residences in May of last year, we've been pushing aggressively to make sure that customers are satisfied and get their deliveries in a timely manner. And he spoke of a number of challenges they faced with construction during the early part of 2020, of course, due to the pandemic, and said that they have overcome these challenges, and they are delighted to welcome so many new residents to this beautiful community. Nesma Residences was launched in March 2017. It was Sharjah's fastest selling project when its first phase sold out in less than a month. The first 5 phases of the community are now fully sold out, and a 6th phase was launched for sales in September. This additional phase contains 124 villas and townhouses and is already 50% sold out, so a lot of interest there.
Yeah, I'm looking at their location there. They're very ideally located just by the Sharjah Kalba Road and also in the Atay suburb. And it is quite just behind the Sharjah Mosque. Very decent location. Very good access to other major intersections. It's the E611, easy access to the Emirate of Dubai as well. So what a brilliant place, spread over 5 million square foot in the fast-growing Al-Tay suburb. Nazma Residences have excellent connectivity with Dubai and rest of the Northern Emirates, as that's what they've described it as. And Arada has also announced a number of new tenants for Nazma Central, the project's retail and leisure complex, which has been designed to be integrated into the landscaped park, which will be open by the end of this year. So it is going to be a very interesting new development in the Emirate of Sharjah, and an exciting one as well.
Yeah, definitely. Arada's Nesma Residences, it's like a cozy suburb. The community has a school, a 13-acre landscaped park, a mosque, and 2 smaller community parks as well, an ideal family destination. And we're very, very excited to continue to report on deliveries of Nesma Residences and all the work that Arada's been doing to keep the customers happy.
Especially with Al Jada as well, big developments over there, new handovers. One thing that's going to happen in Al Jada is we do know that the drive-in cinema has been closed for some maintenance work. We are aware and we've been informed that they might be returning in the first week of December, so just in time for the holiday season. the drive-in cinema will be back up and running. So we'll keep you posted about that. Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. There's lots to get through this morning. We'll be right back after a bit of musical entertainment here on Pulse 95, and we'll continue the discussions. Up next, we'll be talking a little bit more about the significance of Imran Khan, Pakistani Prime Minister's visit to Afghanistan. What's happening there? What's going on? All of this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis.
Stocks, docks and barrels. This morning's Big Business Recap.
Big Business Recap. OPEC is weighing options. Markets are reacting to the COVID-19 vaccine news and the reaction of the Federal Reserve as well as the FDA. People will be hoping to see how they react. So let's start with this morning's markets from Asia.
Yeah, so Asian shares eased from all-time highs as widening COVID-19 restrictions in the United States weighed on Wall Street. And that's the story here. U.S. Stocks have been slumping as fresh restrictions have been imposed in order to control the spread of COVID-19 in the country. We're also seeing the virus rage across Europe as well. And the Pfizer news, that's a pretty big positive here. The completion of the trials, the 95% success rate, it's injected some hope into the markets. But people don't yet feel confident as to how long we're going to bear the brunt of COVID-19 for now. So it's a light at the end of the tunnel, but investors say they don't know how long that tunnel is going to be. And that's causing a bit of a slump in the stock markets. But Pfizer itself has been doing well, fairly as well. Its shares had gained after they said that their vaccine was 95% effective.
Yep, exactly. And the dollar has been in a slow decline against the Japanese yen at the moment to reach 103.84 yens and was approaching the recent 8-month trough at 103 yens 16. And so that's one thing. Another big development that we're seeing is the reaction of the market, especially the oil market. At the moment, Brent crude is trading at $44.19. WTI crude at $41.56. Oil prices are slipping as a result of these new restrictions in the United States and also across the globe. They're looking at the market sentiment and which might hamper fuel demand. But looking at OPEC as a whole, they're looking at their overall compliance from the group. It was slightly lower than the previous month, and producers such as the UAE, which made compensatory cuts last month, reported 126% compliance with the agreement. The UAE had lowered its crude output by 153,000 barrels per day in October, in line with the restrictions, according to our state news agency WAM. OPEC Plus alliance, led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, are drawing back 7 million barrels per day since August and was set to taper the cuts from the beginning of next year as part of the agreement. However, some countries haven't been really complying, and that's made the group slightly bit more concerned about what's happening.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia has called on fellow members of the OPEC Plus group to be flexible to meet market needs and to be ready to adjust their agreement on output cuts. It comes as oil prices are on a moderate rise here on hopes that OPEC would postpone its planned production increase in January. There's also the current vaccine hype as well that has a pretty sizable impact on this situation. And everybody is eyeing the next meeting set to take place among OPEC Plus, which is an alliance that is comprised of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and Russia and other major producers as well. They will discuss policy at a full ministerial meeting that is set to be held on the 30th this month and on the 1st of December.
Yep, and that is something that everyone's going to be slightly looking at what's going to happen. The Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee will be leading those discussions as well, and how they react, whether they delay the production increase of 2 million barrels per day scheduled for the beginning of next year, and if they're going to be delayed by a few months. Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see where we end up. But stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We'll take a bit of a short break and we'll relax a bit, and then we'll move on to the world of real estate. We'll move on to the world of international news and what Apple is offering its low-key producers or the app developers. All of this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis. Do get involved on the text lines 4215. Send us your thoughts and messages, particularly on the vaccine news. We'll be right back after the news headlines. Stay with us. This is the Morning Majlis.
Social Media Minute. Today's clickbait worth talking about.
Social Media Minute.
All right, we're talking about Apple here. They've made a pretty big announcement on the way they handle their App Store purchases. They said they're going to reduce the cut that it takes from every in-app purchase by half for developers that make up to $1 million per year, and essentially making it or taking less money from small-time developers within their in-app purchases. Interesting timing for this as well, as Apple is facing a lot of heat. It's currently facing a new lawsuit from Epic Games, the makers of Fortnite, over their practice of charging exorbitant fees on in-app purchases. They currently take a 30% commission on paid apps and for sales made within apps that are running on iOS, on iPhones and iPads. And a number of companies, particularly video game developers, have been saying that Apple's practice is unfair, monopolistic, and they're suing it as a result.
Yeah, and Apple said that the new programs will start on the 1st of January 2021. Software developers who have earned less than $1 million from the App Store this year will qualify for the 15% rate next year. If the developers' proceeds rise above $1 million threshold the next year. Apple standard rates kick in for the rest of the year. If the developers' proceeds fall below $1 million in a given year, they become eligible for the lower rate for the next year. And according to Chief Executive Tim Cook, small businesses are the backbone of our global economy and the beating heart of innovation and opportunity in communities around the world. Apple said it will give more details on which developers are qualifying by next month. I think it's a great initiative. Just is because there's so many businesses that actually now start off on an app-based platform. You know, we've seen that the local app, Carfu, petrol service provider. We've seen a number of other major tech companies being in the limelight. And if they get this support from marketplaces and app stores, it's just great.
Yeah, it is probably a very, very positive development for small-time developers. But it's interesting looking at the wider perspective here. Epic Games and Spotify have made a response to Apple's decision to cut those App Store fees to 15% for small-time developers. And to summarize what they said, they're pretty much not impressed. So looking at the statement from Epic CEO Tim Sweeney, who is behind Fortnite and currently involved in that lawsuit, he said, quote, "This would be something to celebrate were it not a calculated move by Apple to divide app creators and preserve their monopoly on stores and payments, again breaking the promise of treating all developers equally." He said by giving us special 15% terms to select robber barons like Amazon and now also to small indies, Apple is hoping to remove enough critics that they can get away with their blockade on competition and 30% tax on most in-app purchases. Looking at the statement from Spotify as well, Spotify is the popular music streaming app. They said, quote, "Apple's anti-competitive behavior threatens all developers on iOS, and their latest move further demonstrates that their App Store policies are arbitrary and capricious. We hope that regulators will ignore Apple's window dressing and act with urgency to protect consumer choice, ensure fair competition, and create a level playing field for all." So very, very strong statements from two major companies here who are critical of Apple's in-app payment platform. They're saying that it's causing larger prices for consumers. And they are teaming up as well to create what they call the Coalition for App Fairness and fighting for legal action to try and change Apple's in-app commission fees across the board.
Wow, very heavy statements and heavy words being exchanged over there. But the Robin Hood approach doesn't seem to be too popular amongst those large corporations. But that's what Apple has come back with, saying that they've lowered App Store fees for the smaller developers. On one hand, you could have the leftist approach saying, yep, good idea, help the others, help the weaker forces, and it's fine. And then the other side of the argument says it is a very non-competitive practice. It's not ideal and it's not on. Well, which side of the coin do you fall on? Let us know on the text lines 4215. Share your thoughts and opinions. Morning Majlis. We shall take a bit of a breather. We're preparing for the news headlines. And we've just been told where the exact location of this car park or the park is, which has been made by car parts, the recyclable material, a very sustainable park. We'll give you details about that just after the news headlines. Right after the 9 a.m. headlines, we'll be revealing where this park's location is. And let us know on the text lines 4215 if you plan on going there, because I certainly will be going there right after the show. Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.